Hello, welcome to day 4 of Plan for Prosperity. If we don't plan for it, then we're just thinking and hoping and dreaming. And we got to put legs to our dreams, right? So today, as we focus in on this topic, I'm going to be sharing how you can start understanding, why don't I have such results in the prosperity department that I want? For example, if prosperity is fruit, then why isn't there more on my tree? Or why don't I have bigger, riper fruit? So today I'll be teaching you how to master your money mindset, how to train your thoughts to produce more or better fruit on a consistent basis in all seasons. That's exciting. So we know that our thoughts are powerful, but sometimes we forget how powerful we are and that we're the master of them, not their slave. So I'll be sharing with you my process, my inside out creation formula in my book called Powerful to help you retrain your thoughts to create new outcomes, new, better outcomes. And I'm really, really thrilled to share that process with you. If you don't have my book yet, I do recommend you get it. Another thing we're going to be diving into today is my story and how I transformed my thinking and transformed my results in my business to give you an idea of the process that I used and what doesn't work to change the circumstances and improve the circumstances around you, but we think it works. So at the end of each call, I give you homework. Make sure that as you are listening and taking notes today, you are adopting an open mind. You are continually showing up to learn something new, even if you think you've got this topic mastered. I want you to stay like a little child inside and stay ready for something new. So get excited as I dive in. I'm going to just pause briefly because I got a notification from my family and family comes first. So 1 second. All right. Family and business can coexist very well. Let me share first some stories to illustrate points because stories are something that sticks. So several years ago, I had been running my business for years and felt really confident in how to generate new clients. I had created a balance in my life so that I could run my business and still honor my personal priorities like family and my own health and time for things that mattered for me, adventure. So I was feeling pretty good. I was feeling pretty set and established. And I didn't know that I was not planning for my future at the time. So that was unbeknownst to me. I had stopped planning for my future and it really bit me in the butt. So I want to share that story with you. And as I'm telling my story, I want you to be thinking about what story am I telling myself about what's possible, about me, about my future. Start noticing, okay, while I'm telling my story. So as the summer was approaching, I unconsciously had begun to start thinking, It's the wrong season to bring in clients. And I really think that it's obvious. I just have to wait until another time in the year when people are ready to do this work and they're wanting to grow their business and they're wanting new mindsets and they're wanting better health. I just have to wait for that. I wasn't aware I was thinking these thoughts until later on. But what was happening in my personal life was I was starting to get anxious because it didn't look like there was any new incoming money being generated. There wasn't. And so I started to get uneasy. So started feeling more tense. And I thought that what would turn my situation around. So this was all unconscious. Usually, like a lot of our operating system is actually unconscious. But what I thought would turn my external situation around so that I could feel more secure. So make a note, like, how do I want to feel right now? I wanted to feel more secure. I wanted to feel more stable. I wanted to feel excited because working with clients makes me feel excited. I wanted to feel on fire on my game, right? And as the money almost trickled to a complete halt, 1 month chugged along, another month chugged along, I really did start to freak out sometimes inside. We need money, right? We need money because we need the basics. We need to eat. We need a roof over our heads. And we want to have fun. We want to be able to be generous with our money. When we have more money, we have more time freedom. So I wanted all of those things, and those are natural desires. But I thought I had to wait. So here's what I did that I want to encourage you and warn you to avoid. I thought that I should just ignore those feelings of discomfort. This is the first warning sign. Don't do this. Don't do what Amy did. Ignore your feelings. So if I ignored my feelings, then I didn't have to feel so uncomfortable. If I ignored them, I didn't have to pay attention to what I knew I felt incompetent to turn around. So if you're feeling incompetent to deal with the situation, then what a better strategy than to ignore, right? Point number two I want to make and warn you against that I did is I started pretending that I was happy. Because if we pretend we're happy, maybe eventually we'll become happy. Maybe eventually, if we just try our very best to be the most optimistic version of ourselves and tell ourselves that it will sort itself out, just wait out the tough times, then things should get better, right? But remember, wishing and hoping and thinking isn't everything needed to shift your situation. We need more than that. We need thought. We need aligned action. We need to be someone new to create a new circumstance in our lives. So I thought if I just pretend to be happy, things will get better. But what that actually did was drain me of energy because then maybe you can relate. Actually, I'd love to hear in the comments if you can relate. Have you ever tried to wear a mask, pretend that you're okay when you're not? Do you know how draining that is? It was seriously draining. Such a waste of energy. Don't do that. Don't do what I did. The third tactic that I used to transform my financial situation and feel happy again was to push forward. So I can be strong, right? Ever tried to be strong when you felt totally weak? We are called to be brave, but we aren't called to change our circumstances in our own strength. So I tried to be strong. I tried to push forward. And that involves a lot of tiring effort as well. Because when you're trying to do things on your own with past business strategy, past business knowledge, it's impossible. If you're facing a new situation and a new challenge that you've never faced before, old knowledge isn't going to cut it. And if you try and push forward with the old, it's just going to prolong pain. So don't do those three things. Don't ignore your feelings. Don't pretend everything's okay when you've just gotten comfortable or when you're trying to hide the discomfort inside. Pretending does not make it go away, it prolongs pain. And then third, make sure that you're not pushing forward with past knowledge, trying to figure out everything on your own. It just makes you isolated. No one creates anything new in isolation. We need to be surrounded by help. We need to be supported and allow that support in. So those were three failing strategies. Recipe for failure. So the day came that it got so uncomfortable because of my lack of income in that season that something really precious in me cracked open. And it was on a walk on a beach in Tofino on the west coast of Vancouver Island where I had this realization. I realized that I was unbeknownst to me, I wasn't trying to do this, but I was filling myself with these feelings of doubt and hopelessness and lack of self-esteem and like almost sadness, some sadness mixed in there, all these feelings um, because of the thought that I had to wait and that there was nothing that I could do to shift my circumstances for the better. And when we're filled with all of those emotions, like I said in previous classes, there's no room for joy. There's no room for hope. There's no room for courage, because why have courage when you can't do anything about your circumstances? There's no need for courage, right? So I was filled with fear. I was filled with anxiety. And when I realized what I'd been doing to myself, I also realized that I could turn my situation around by transforming the thoughts within me to transform the world around me. You can do that too. You can transform the thoughts within you to transform the world around you. And I'm going to show you how to do that today. But before I do, I want to share with you, because of the process that I learned and the formula that I created and applied in my own life, I was then able to go on and launch my book, get it published, bring it into the world. That process I took and created opportunities for speaking engagements. And those speaking engagements brought in more money than I'd ever brought in from that revenue stream before, and those rates continue to rise. And I was also able to launch a very profitable group coaching program. Not only did those external circumstances shift, but before I was able to achieve those results, my joy came back inside, which was probably the most valuable transformation that I needed at the time. Hope was revived. I learned how to have peace inside and calm the storm inside so that my external circumstances could eventually catch up with my internal changes that I'd made. I felt like the angels were singing. I remember the day in the condo when my internal emotional state shifted before my external circumstances changed, and I knew that change was on the horizon, right? Have you ever experienced that? It's like, whoa, excitement is released. I know something's about to shift. And that's when it all started to flow in a different direction. So let's hop into this framework that I have for you inside the book. It's called my inside out formula. So we're going to be mastering your money mindset today. I want you to get clear on, we've worked on day one to get clear on what you want, right? And then we looked at what kind of resistance are you facing? What kind of fears or doubts or anxieties are you facing? Often, when we're telling ourselves a story, we believe that story. And in order to change the story, it's like yesterday it was really rainy here, really rainy, and the land was parched due to a really hot summer. So at the bottom of our yard, there was water pooling, a lot of water. And my husband said, yeah, that's because the ground is so dry, it's not accepting the water. It's going to take some time to accept the water in. And that's the same with transforming your thought life about money, about success, about how easy it could be to create those breakthroughs in your career that you're looking for, that time freedom that you're looking for, that calmness inside. As you water your mind with new thoughts and possibilities, it might take a little bit of time for those new thoughts to sink in, just like the water eventually sunk into the ground. But eventually, the more you flood your brain with new thoughts, the old thought patterns die off. If you look at brain imaging scans, you'll see this. A new thought actually looks like a small, tiny, tiny tree. It's so beautiful. And there's neural pathways up there that start lighting up when you start changing your thought patterns. And the more you stick with it and trod down that new path and continue to think and act in new ways and show up in the world as a new person, the old person dies away. And the old thought patterns literally start to become more dim until that area of your brain is no longer lit up. So fascinating, right? So here are some steps I want you to write down inside the inside out transformation formula. So the first is the result I'm seeking. The second is the action I think I need to take to get that result. So first is the result I'm seeking. Second is the action I think I need to take. Result, action. You can either write it sideways on a piece of paper so you have more room, or you can do it vertically. After action is, how do those actions make me feel? When I think about taking that action, how do I feel? Result, action, feeling. Then belief. What am I believing when I experience that feeling? What belief does it stir up in me? So this exercise will help you get to the root of why maybe your fruit never seems to fully ripen on your tree. Why you're just about to get that job opportunity and then it keeps getting given to someone else. Or why you have all these sales conversations, but then you feel so insecure asking for the rate that you'd like to charge. We only ask for what we feel worthy of receiving. And so when you're facing resistance in your career that has to do with growth, that's a really good sign you're headed in the right direction. And it's also a clue where you need to investigate what's going on so that you can move past that resistance. It's usually to do with a thought that needs to be changed. And then you can connect new action to that thought. So write down the result that I want to create. This should just take you maybe a minute. I'll give you a minute. The action that I think that will require. So maybe that means being more consistent on social media, or quitting my job, or I don't know, could be anything. How does that make me feel when I take that action? Does it make me feel excited? Does it make me feel afraid, nervous? Does it make me feel overwhelmed? Does it make me feel relaxed, So write down all the emotions that come to mind. And then write down, okay, well, if I was thinking that I needed to take this action to get that result, and it made me feel doubtful, what would I need to be thinking to feel that way? Write down that thought. While you're doing that, I'm going to tell you one more story, and then I'll walk you through. I'll help any one of you who would like help to transform your thinking about money and get to the root of why there's resistance or why you keep hitting that glass ceiling, or so that you can overcome it. Okay. So recently, remember how I told you one of my problems was that I was trying to solve my problems by myself. I was trying to create in isolation. And we know that we need two people to create, at least two people. We can do a lot on our own, but if you think that it's all up to you to solve the problem or challenge in front of you and step into the opportunity, then that's a lot of pressure on your shoulders that you were never meant to carry. That's unrealistic to expect of yourself. Those standards are too high. So sometimes letting help in is the very key to your success. And for me, asking for help is one of my economic drivers. Asking for help is one of my big economic drivers. So let me tell you this story. Recently, I was at a training in Ohio, and I think it was day one of the training, and I had coached a couple clients that week, one that morning, and I was loving my time in this new city. I felt totally energized and excited about the training that was just about to start. Actually, I think I might have been, maybe I had attended one night of the training. Anyways, sometimes in my coaching practice with private clients, they take breaks. It's rare, but there was a dip in my income, and a pretty big one. And I've learned that making money is not all up to me, and that I'm being supported from behind the scenes, and I don't have to worry. Worry doesn't change things. Worry actually creates problems in me. It changes my emotional environment, and my set point goes from calm and enjoying life to nervous, reactive, unfocused, flighty. That's not conducive to business growth, right? So in the moment, I thought, well, I don't like this situation, right? Get honest about your feelings. Don't pretend it's okay when you're not okay. I don't like this situation. How can I get back to, how can I stay happy? Because I hadn't lost my happiness, my joy. And how can I remain in peace and regain those finances for the month plus more? So ask yourself creative questions like that. I thought, I know how. I'm going to talk to God. I'm going to ask for help. So you might not believe in God, but apply this principle of asking for help, either from, if you believe in a higher power, or in humans, you can ask for help from other people, which is also equally powerful, equally helpful. I don't know if it's equally powerful all the time. I would say no. But anyways, I had a conversation with God, and it sounded like this. You know what's going on in my life. I know you love me. I know you care for me. And I know you want the best for me. And abundance is what you came to bring. So abundance in every area of my life, including finances. So would you please provide that income plus more, so that I don't have to think about it while I'm at this training, right? I can just be focused on the training, learn from the great speakers, meet some awesome new people, enjoy this beautiful new city, Columbus, Ohio, that I was in, and be able to relax and have fun, right? really ingest all the information in, digest all the information properly, not have to think about money. So I let it go, said the prayer, asked for help, and let it go. The next day, I got an email. Such a fun story. And the email was from someone that had a very different name. I'm not going to say her name, but let's just pretend it's like Kierna Svortsky. And I thought, oh, definitely scam email. Definitely. But let's just open it up and have a check. At the top in the heading, it said something like status confidential. And I thought, oh my goodness, second red flag, scam, likely scam. But then I started reading the email and I wondered if this was not a scam. The email said, "Hi, Amy. You've come highly recommended as a mental health speaker for the TD Bank. And we'd like to see if you're available and willing to come speak at our Women's Investment private event in October. We'd like to ask your rates and please get back to us about your availability." I thought, you have my attention. One, maybe it's not a scam because it's close to home. Two, I'm connected with the TD Bank. But who is this woman and why is this email confidential? Classified, confidential. It's like a spy movie. So I emailed her back thinking, I'll have a conversation with this woman and see if she's real. So within a couple hours, we were on the phone. It was a video call, it needed to be video for me. And I was really scoping her out. Her background was blurred, like sometimes it is on Zoom. And so I was still wondering if that was a red flag. But it sounded legitimate. And we got to the point, discussed all the emails, talked about how big the audience would be, how much time they needed me for. I would need to spend the night. So we worked out all of the details. And then we got to my rate. I told her what my rate was. I told her what my travel expenses were. And she said, "Oh, is that all?" Something like that. And it reminded me, you better ask for what you're worth. You better make sure that you're believing you are worth your rates. You are worth being paid what you want to be paid for, because all of your experience and your training leading up to this point is life transformative for the people who you are meant to serve. So no problem. They had no problem paying me my full rate and were very thankful to have me. So let me wrap up that story. Got off, sent them an invoice, and had the invoice paid by the time I was home back in Canada. Beautiful story, right? And it's not uncommon. Those types of experiences have happened multiple times for me. And there's some keys. We need to ask for help, not try and do everything on our own. We need to stop pretending and be honest with ourselves about how we're feeling and what we need. So I want to open up the call so that anyone on here can get my support around that inside out process that I shared with you, so that you can get to the root of what might be keeping you stuck or held back from greater levels of growth and impact in your career that you've been craving. So would anyone like some help? We have about 10 minutes. And she's back. Hi, Jesselyn.
Can I just ask you one question, Amy?
Yeah, sure, Mike.
Do you think sometimes we struggle with imposter syndrome when we don't know our worth? Sometimes we don't think we deserve that. I guess like an unworthiness that
Yeah,
comes
well,
with it and manifests in our own thinking.
I think so. And coming from a spiritual perspective, my belief around that is it's kind of a confusing topic, the concept of deservingness, right? But if you can switch from I think I'm from instead of I think I deserve this to it's a gift and I just get to receive it. So because God thinks I'm worthy, I'm going to think I'm worthy. So I'm going to align my thinking with a higher thinking. And then one thing we're going to touch on tomorrow that is to your point of does imposter syndrome hold us back from asking for what we're worth, right? That was your question, right? One thing that helps us ask for what we're worth and increases our confidence is having a clear awareness of this is the problem that I solve for people, and this is my unique way of solving it. And here's my we talked about intellectual property, right? Your own intellectual property that you've created. If you have your packages together and you're clear on what your services are and the benefits to your clients, and you can promise an outcome because you've seen it in other people's lives, then your own confidence, because you have that tangible material to back up your belief, really helps you in the confidence department. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. So Jesslyn, Michael, anyone else who would like to ask a question, everybody can feel free to put your camera on so I can see your lovely faces, and also unmute because this is an opportunity for you to get direct support and questions answered. So the homework for today, if there's no other questions, still feel free if you have a question after this, is to walk yourself through that inside out creation process. Use that formula to get to the root of why you may not have the money, the prosperity, the success that you want. I want you to outline what result I want, what action I think that will require me to take, how that action makes me feel, and then what thought I would need to be thinking in order to feel that way. So it's like this circle, right? And when we are able to get to the root, then we see we have what we've been believing. And when we have clarity, then we have power to change that cycle. Then you can use the same inside out creation formula to change that thought pattern. You start with, okay, I know I want the result. So I know I need to change the thought pattern and the feeling. And the feeling, if you think about it, this is just another layer, and I'm going deep here, but the feeling represents your being, your identity. It's like your nervous system imprint that happens maybe in your first or second experience that's related to money or that's related to success or prosperity. So you're actually, when you're transforming a thought pattern, you're also transforming that nervous system imprint, and you're taking back your power to be master over your spirit, your mind, your emotions, your body, and then your actions. You're telling everything what the flow is going to be from now on. Thank you very much. Right? So that's the first homework piece. And I will send that out in the email as a reminder. And the second is to decide what you want help with and who you're going to ask. What you want help with and who you could ask. One person, maybe more than one person. Maybe you want to have a conversation with God about it. That's the second part to your homework. Okay, so any other questions coming up or insights, you can unmute and let me know, or you can put it in the chat if you prefer. I'd love to hear your insights. They're always valuable. Also tell me, what do you want to learn more about? Because I'm tailoring these classes to meet your needs. And so tomorrow, what do you want me to dive deeply into? I'll tell you, my plan was to dive deeply into um, how do you map out the process from A to Z, from um, how do I reach the people that I want to work with to now they're working with me and paying me. What's that journey look like? Show me some steps. That's what I was going to share with you tomorrow. But if there's something else that feels like it's more important to you, I might change my mind. I might make the topic of day 5 in this Plan for Prosperity class series a new topic.
Actually, my thoughts was about what you have said. So it's how to start being visible in social media, because it's kind of a shift. If some people are silent, and then suddenly they need to start somehow. How to start? And it's so many topics. On another hand, the ideas are so simple and people know them somehow, or they already were presented this or that way in other maybe platforms. So yeah, it's a lot of questions actually, and it's I think connected what you have just said. So it looks, yeah, for some reason we thought similar about tomorrow day.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks for the confirmation. Anyone else have a desire you'd like to learn more from me that possibly I can make time for tomorrow? Or maybe we'll have an encore training. Where would you really like help? Either tomorrow or soon? Okay, maybe we'll just leave with uh, an insight that you got from today. That's how we're going to end. You can put it in the chat or you can unmute. Feel free.
But I think one insight I've been getting here is knowing your worth, that you are worthy. And I think it was just funny. Last night, I was presented an opportunity to go up to some a native reserve in Saskatchewan to do an engagement with my friend from Oklahoma. He's
Mm-hmm.
going, and he asked me to bring my books along with me. So I met with my minister about it, and he says, "Well, why don't we do something else here?" Because he says your books are on inner healing and emotional wellness. A lot of the native people suffer with that, and a lot of them will not buy that type of book for themselves. So why don't we get some people behind you and use it as mission and
Mm.
have people buy your book for you so you can give them as a gift into the community.
Ha, what a great idea.
And he says, that way you're not, and I'm thinking like, well, how I don't feel comfortable asking for money for that. And he says, Mike, you've been through the experiences. You can't quantify your healing. Like there are people who will believe in you, that believe in you, Mike, and will buy your books as a gift for others.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh, just don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah, and remember, sometimes our eyes are so stuck on ourselves that we think everything's about us. And I think that definitely is a root of imposter syndrome. We're just looking too much at ourselves still. So,
Yeah,
another perspective that might really help you about this specific situation, Mike, is those people aren't buying the books necessarily because solely because they believe in you.
yeah,
So some of them will like know you well and they will want to be behind whatever effort you're focused on.
yeah,
And they do believe in you. Some people may not feel very connected to you at all, but they want to be a part of your vision of helping those people in that community.
yeah,
Yeah. So it's about the people whose lives will be changed. And you get
yeah,
to be a conduit for that transformation.
Yeah, and it's just so random. Like, but instead of saying don't do it, my mates were saying, no, go do it, go do it. We're behind you on this. We love this. So it's kind
Yeah.
of neat.
That's awesome. I'm celebrating. You got to keep me in the loop and let me know where that goes.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
will.
Okay, cool. All right. Thanks everyone for joining. Please email me and let me know, what did you learn? If you didn't share it today, I still want to know. And we'll hop in tomorrow to focus on, what's that client journey look like? Where do you find your people? How do they find you? And then how can you bring that full circle to translate into more sales and feel comfortable receiving that money in a way, make that money in a way that feels natural to you? Yeah, we're so glad that you showed up too, Jesslyn. Okay, we'll hopefully see you all tomorrow. And if not, watch the replay. Thanks for joining. We'll see you soon.